Hello everyone, and as you can see, the sweeps and bends of the Imola circuit are coming to you across your screens this evening for round 9 of the JINX Starter2 V8 Supercar Series. Here with me to call all the action tonight, as always, we've got Dave Douglas and Matt Andrews. How you going, guys?
Good, Edward, mate. Ready for another ripper race. We had a good one last weekend out at Road Atlanta, so hopefully Imola delivers for us this week.
Dave, Ed, good to be here. San Marino, Imola, one of my favourite tracks, and I have raced the V8 around here before. It's an amazing track to drive a V8 supercar in, and these guys will be treated to a fun race this evening, and those watching are going to enjoy some action as well, I'm sure.
Well, we've had some cracker races so far this season, 8 of them in the books now, and we're getting towards the back end of this season now as well. So a few positions coming down to the crunch as far as the championship's concerned as well. But of the drivers out here tonight, we've seen the qualifying session take place already, and we'll be able to run through the full grid in a couple of minutes once that actually processes for us. But just having a look at the track and the track conditions out there tonight, it's a reasonably cool track, only 24 degrees, and partly cloudy, of course, as well, so no sun beating down on the track surface to perhaps reduce the grip a little bit, and of course quite late in the day as well. So going to be interesting to see how that affects the handling of these cars, the lap times and everything else, and what kind of racing it actually produces.
Yeah, it's going to be good. It's a track that really rewards the driver when you get it right. It feels good. You can get up on those curves, and when you nail it, you know you're nailing it. So yeah, as I said, it's a great track for this V8, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, 2 action spots I think we'll look out for tonight. Turn 1, obviously, high overtaking manoeuvre quickly closes on you though when you do make a move, and now chicane up the back of the circuit there can also cause a lot of dramas, especially early on. So we'll keep an eye on that as the race develops, but plenty of chances to overtake at Imola, which is good, but those 2 ones will be ones we'll be looking out for tonight.
Yeah, it is a great circuit here at Imola as well. Of course, it was much better with it probably before they put all the chicanes in. Had a fantastic layout that dated all the way back to the 50s. Motorcycle circuit originally. The first Formula One race here was not an actual championship Grand Prix, but it was a Formula One race won by Jim Clark. So a lot of history here. And we're going to see how the V8s get on around here. Of course, a fairly unfamiliar site. Of course, being in Italy, they don't visit here in real life. But it's one of the great things about sim racing is that we can put together these slightly unusual car and track combinations and see how it all plays out.
You didn't just give away your trivia for the night there, did you, Ed?
No, I didn't actually plan any trivia for tonight. That's just from the deepest, darkest recesses of my memory.
Another thing to look out for here too, I'm not sure if it's a thing, but for the 5 minutes I was watching practice, I saw 2 engine failures. So whether that's them braking hard and using the engines down into turn 1 here, this first left-hander. But yeah, I saw one here, and then one was up at the hairpin, just up around the corner here as well. So I don't know if it's a thing, but we'll keep an eye out for that too.
Maybe downshifting a little bit hard. I know early in my days in the V8s, I did that a couple of times on this track actually. You're just so hard on the brakes on a couple of the corners, you can be a little bit too aggressive on the downshift, and the engine doesn't like that, and it can cause some issues.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of people just sort of locking rear brakes and perhaps just locking the rear wheels on the downshift as well. So it looks like there's a bit of that going on already, so definitely something to keep an eye on as the race goes on, as the reliability of the cars. And of course, if you treat them well, they're always going to last. But if you treat them badly, they might not carry you the distance.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But we're not too far away from the warm-up wrapping up here. Another 20 seconds till it's finished, and then we'll be able to run through the grid. But yeah, I know these cars, I did try it. I went out there and had a bit of a run myself after I saw that to see if I could make it blow up, and I'm pretty hard on the gear, so it didn't blow up for me, so I don't know what it is. So we'll wait and see.
I'll tell you a story one day about downshifting too early in real life and what actually happened to me, but we'll probably leave that for another day. But we're not too far off the end of warm-up now. We're going to be able to have our field gridding up, and we'll be able to run through the grid order for you. So just as everyone's getting themselves set, I can tell you Simon Chadwick has taken pole for this one, and he's sitting on the front row alongside Daniel Hedderscheid. And Alex Core is third, with Brodie Scott joining him on the second row. Then back to Tyson McAvoy and Jamie Davis on the third row. Fourth row, James Rewalt and Marty Hansen. Fifth row, Darren Caldwell, Mark Duggan, Tim Crowley, Chris Barnes is sixth row. Seventh row, Ben Morris, Lathis Leonage. Benjamin Siren and Tony Gaffer, row 8, row 9, Hayden Harrison, Alexander Newton. Then we've got Riley Curtis, Jacob Brewer, Chris Kerr, Aaron Gilbert, Luke Holland, Jonathan Ben, John Sorensen, Lee Roberts, Dean Williams, Scott McCune, Brian Cooper, Dean Poe, Mark Dial, and I believe that is the 31 car grid.
Yep, so the nerves starting to build for the front row here of who we got in the front row is Chadwick and Hedderscheid. So it's a long run down to turn one here, about to go green.
I think Alex Court's going to be looking to make a better start than he did last week. He's third this week instead of pole, but he's going to be looking to make amends for that shocker that he had one last time. All right, so we are under green and we're away. Looks as though Chadwick has got away fairly well. Hedderscheid looks as though he's just trying to cover off Court, which he does. And Court's going to slot in there into third place, and pretty much as you were, looking all clean so far. We'll see what the field's like when they get down to this first braking point, and it looks as though everyone's fairly clean through so far.
Yeah, I think there may be someone in the background there, but
yeah, Aaron Gilbert's off. Aaron Gilbert has gone off. He was 22nd, and now he's absolutely last.
Yeah, for the most part, it was very clean though. So Chadwick gets a good start. Hedderscheid second and Court third, but no, Rewalt saw him in the middle there, bogged down at the start. So I think he lost a couple of spots also at the start.
Yeah, I was surprised. A few cars bogged down at the back, a few guys really struggling to get away, and I thought there was going to be carnage, but everyone seemed to navigate that fairly well. And as you said, boys, a really clean start for what can be a pretty tricky track. I'll probably just jinx the whole field, but yeah, really, really good start.
Yeah, certainly, and leading them up the hills. Fantastic part of the circuit, this. After they get through this little right-left chicane up here, I believe it's... can't remember the name of it actually, but yeah, they're just about to start heading down the hill. One of my absolute favourite parts of this course, and they are all sitting there single file at the moment. Nobody making any silly moves too early on. Everyone just looking to get themselves a nice piece of real estate to operate in, and then they can get to work on the car in front.
Yeah, this would have to be my favourite part of the circuit. These two left-handers here, it's they're easy to stuff up, but they're rewarding when you get it right. Especially the drive up here is so crucial to get it out of that last turn down the front straight, as we right on board with Brodie Scott at the moment.
Yeah, fairly long sort of pit lane though tonight, the old F1 lane. You'll have to keep an eye out on that. As we know, everyone has to pit at least once. Drivers given limited fuel, so there won't be any drivers going beyond half distance tonight. So keep an eye out as that is week in, week out. We look at the strategies, so something to keep an eye out there as well.
Daniel Hedderscheid's just snatched a break, actually, just going into the first chicane. He managed to recognise that and get his foot off the brake pedal nice and quickly, so that's not going to cost him anything except for a slight little bit of time. And he's got Alex Court all over him right now. He's got Brodie Scott in turn. It's tucked right underneath his rear wing as they scrabble to get the power down. Rear tyres protesting, of course, as they try and get all of that power to the ground and launch themselves off up the hill for another lap.
Yeah, great start by Chadwick, pulling out already almost a second lead on the pack. Hedderscheid.
Oh, he's run wide. Chadwick's wide.
Yeah.
Oh no, just absolutely.
Yeah, there we go.
He's coming there.
He's done well to not lose too much time, but I don't know if we got a slow down out there or not. I'm not sure.
Oh, jeez, I can't believe I did that, boys. I've just got to stop talking about any people out there positively. Chadwick just blows what was a beautiful, beautiful start, and he slots in fourth. So race isn't over, but he'd be absolutely spewing as he's under attack on the inside by, I believe, Jamie Davis has taken him as well. Geez, he's really falling back, boys.
McAvoy's got past him.
I think Chadwick's got a problem.
Yeah, he's got some sort of issue. He's dropped an absolute ton of spots. He's not coming into the lane though, but he ran wide, but he didn't go off into the gravel, so it's not dirty tyres. There's something else is going on.
Yeah, he was only half a car width wide off that apex. You can see in the replay there. And as you said, he was committed already through there, and being half a car width, well, you're going to be half a car width on the exit as well. So that's where he ended up out there, and just got in the grasp over onto that bit of concrete that's out there. But yeah,
Sorry to cut you off. Alex Court just coming under attack now. He just made a slight mistake in the first chicane. Just didn't quite get his rhythm right through there, and it just gave him a fairly bad exit. Now he's going to be running side by side with Brodie Scott, who looks as though he's going to be able to run down the inside there, take that position. Coming under attack from McAvoy there as well. He sees him coming, sticks a little bit wide, and manages to pick up the throttle nice and early. And slot back in there behind Scott. But I think
Davis is having a go too.
Davis having a go as well.
And he's going to get the nose up there. Side by side through here. Ooh, it's so tight. Good racing.
Yeah, great racing. Leaves him the carb width on the outside. Let's see if he gets repaid the favour as McAvoy comes up the inside.
Yeah.
Let's give him the room. Great driving here by the two. Still gives him room. And
then,
no!
Massive
impact.
With him.
Well, they were giving each other room, boys. I think they've just touched wheels, and the wheels have just imploded on each other.
Which is real awkward contact.
Through the wall. And I think
Safety
it's Hanson, the safety car.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
The innocent bystander.
Yeah, they were racing so cleanly together, weren't they? Giving each other plenty of respect and plenty of room, and then they just got hooked up.
We just got a slow motion replay, so Davis Tyson probably needed to leave a little bit more room on that exit there, and as Davis was up on the AstroTurf on the inside, and they just made awkward contact, and unfortunately, I think that's Marty Hansen there, the unfortunate party in the middle.
All right, so we're going to come under the control of the safety car. They're going to pick up the leader, which isn't going to be too hard to do, seeing as we've only been under green for a couple of laps, and the field isn't too strung out. So it's going to be nice and easy for them to pick up the entire field, and we'll see how many of the drivers opt to take pit stop, but I can't imagine that it's well within their pit window yet to allow them to get to the end.
Yeah, geez, that's a shame. That was a good little battle that were going on there. Just wasn't much contact in it at all, but it turned the race on its head now, but we haven't seen the pace car out here for a while, safety car, so the guys will see if anyone takes any advantage of an early stop or anything like that. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, the beneficiary here is Chadwick, who looked like he had the superior pace over the rest of the field. He now gets bunched up into 5th place. Looks like whatever issue he may have had has disappeared, so hopefully he can bring himself back into the race. This is a bit of confusion here, I believe, with the safety car. It looks like it's picked up Ruwalt, and I think Hederscheit, Scott, and Court have been told to slow down and possibly wait for the safety car to pick them up.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a supercars race with a little bit of trouble picking up the leader, would it, under safety car? So in any event, it looks as though these top 3 are going to slow down and allow the rest of the field to catch up, because otherwise that's going to be the biggest gift those 3 guys have ever had.
It's always tricky picking the right time to get the safety car out, especially if the field is going across that front straight. So in our league, in the JINX Super 2 league, it is a manual safety car. It isn't an iRacing safety car. Sometimes it can be a little bit of human error, but they'll get it sorted shortly.
Well, I must say, sorry to cut you off there. I must say, I don't think that the safety car is going to catch them the way they're going. The safety car is
they're absolutely hammering it, aren't they? 95
k's an hour, and the 3 cars up front are doing 130. So that's I'm no mathematician, but that's not going to work.
I'm just trying to listen to the racing. They've got a direction as well, but I'm not sure if they're picking it up yet. The boys need to slow down here. But we mentioned it last week.
Scott's flagging some concerns with race control at the moment, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, either those top 3 have got to stop, or the safety car's got to get on with it. It can't keep driving there at 90 k's an hour because it's just not going to catch them.
Yeah, so Scott's slowing down. He's flashing his lights at Hederscheit. And yeah, I believe race control have given them the directive to slow down.
That's all well and good, but they're still doing 100 k an hour. They're still going faster than the safety car's going. So we'll have to see. The safety car has sped up now. Safety car's doing around about 140 k's an hour. So yeah, hopefully that gap will start to close now.
Yeah, I don't know. If it's me, if I'm at the back, mate, I'm coming into the pits. here and chucking some fuel on while all this is going on, because we're still ticking laps away here. The caution laps count, the pace car laps count
Yeah.
here. So I don't know. You could roll the dice, but mate, you last. You might as well have a crack.
Yeah, well, that's right. I mean, potentially.
And if it does,
I'm
it's
not
going to give you a shorter stop on your second stop if you can't make it from here.
Yeah.
You're not
Yeah.
going to need as much fuel. So yeah, look, that's the game I'll be playing if I was back there. But the point I was going to make before, we mentioned it last week that the top three, and if only Alex Court had a good start, he'd be amongst it. And guess who our top four are? The top three from last week plus Alex Court.
Yeah, I'd say he would have been working on his starts throughout the week because he had a very good start.
Oh,
I think that would have hung over his head what happened last week. So good to see him improve. That's what it's all about. Making sure if you make a mistake, you just don't do it again. And he's sitting nicely there in third place and looking good this evening. Tell you what, the safety car driver Mitch Campbell's getting a bit of fun out there. Gets to see what that Porsche has got and rip it around Imola, which is good to see.
Yeah, he's giving a little bit more than he away from the rest of the pack, and is slowing right down now to 60 k's an hour. So I'd imagine they've been instructed not to dive into the pits until such time as they've been overtaken by the safety car, because if they haven't, you know, being in Hederscheid's position, you'd be diving in, wouldn't you?
And he'd be back out
come
before
back out in the lead.
yeah.
So.
Exactly right.
Here we go. Safety car is about to catch Court and Brodie Scott.
Cool.
And I don't think Hederscheid's too far up the road either. So there goes the safety car right now.
Yeah, we've got a bit of order here. So
and Court's made the cheeky dive to the pits now. The safety car has he's obviously been told that he had to wait until the safety car went past a pit, but did they say he had to wait until the safety car got past the leader? Because he's made a very cheeky dive down there into the pits, and congratulations, really, if he's got away with that, that's fantastic.
Well, we're just talking about it, the cheeky diving. I just don't know how much fuel these tanks can hold. I know there is a limit. Will they be able to last the 16 laps that are left in this race? That's what we'll be pushing this. Yeah. Oh, interesting from Court.
To pull yourself from out the front of the field in P3, I think it was at that time, to have a gamble, you want to make sure you got it right. So I was actually sort of counting on the guys down the back to have a bit of a gamble, not someone up in the front. But we'll see how it works out.
Yeah, you've also got to take into account the way that the field spreads out under green as well. I mean, it's all well and good to get up behind the entire field when they're all going slowly and they're all jammed together. But of course, once the green flag flies and everybody moves back up to racing speed, they're going to spread out very quickly, and it's not hard to lose 20 seconds or so in amongst all of that. Right, so if you're kind of losing the amount that you would have gained anyway, I mean, I still think it's a smart manoeuvre, but it's not a guarantee by any means. Yeah, certainly.
I mean, he made a mistake last week off the line. Let's hope he hasn't made another mistake this week with a risky pit call. But you never know, if he wins it, wow. So anyway, that's one to watch out for. Caught at the back of the field. We pick up the rest of the gang now, putting around at what we would normally find about 90 clicks. Hederscheid in the lead there in the Simfinity Mustang. Caldwell second, Davis third, Newton fourth. Oh, hang on, I'm looking at the wrong. Scott second, Ruwalt third, Chadwick fourth, Caldwell in fifth. Yeah, so Chadwick's the one I'm interested in, boys, after being so quick at the start. He's now in fourth with the field bunched up. He's one I'm really keen to look out for, see if he can make his way up to the top step of the podium.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? You know, he had that error and then dropped an absolute ton of positions, and there doesn't seem to be anything wrong with the car. We kind of thought at the time there might have been some sort of technical issue there. Doesn't seem to be anything wrong with it. Doesn't seem to be anything wrong with anything that is going on in that car in particular. So it might have just been he's gone off the track, sort of unsettled himself. He just needed a moment to regroup. But this will certainly give him that opportunity, and look for him to try and move back forward. I mean, if he's had the kind of pace he showed in qualifying, if he's able to replicate that here, you'd expect him to move up.
So just looking down the order from that incident while we're under the safety car. So Tyson's popped back out. He got going again, and he's in 15th. So, I mean, it could have been a lot worse, but right now he's sitting 15th. It's not as bad as it could have been. So, he may have got away with one there. A little bit of damage on the bonnet too, by the looks of it. But they do have a spare car. They do have a fast repair if they choose to use it. I think Heddershot's gone into the pit.
No, Heddershot's still out.
Okay, it was just
Duggan's gone in. Duggan's headed in the 664.
Wow, another risky pit. 1 lap to green.
He's obviously delayed it as long as he can.
Yeah, that's probably what I would have done.
Yeah, give himself a few laps to go on that full tank. I think he is probably looking at making it to the end.
The other one too, I think that's pitted is Tony Gaffer, who sits in. I know Tony Gaffer's in. Yeah, so
30th. So it looks like he's rolled the dice.
So Gaffer, Duggan, Court are probably the 3 from the back to watch out for in terms of the riskier of the pit strategies.
Yeah, look, I'm a fan of a risky pitch strategy. I love a good ploy and
a little gamble.
They'll gain respect from me, man. You never know. You roll the dice, let it ride, mate. You know as they say.
Know when to roll it, know when to fold them.
That's it.
Of course, now we've got Alex Court, Mark Dial just sat in there behind John Sorensen, who's driving for the New Vision Motorsport team. They've only popped up just recently, so good to see those guys out there as well. Riding around there right now in 27th position, obviously looking to make his way forward from there. He's got a couple of very fast guys behind him, Sorensen as well, so be interested to see what kind of finish he's able to pull out and whether or not he's able to move that Commodore forward. But back to the front now, we've only got 1 lap until green. We can see Daniel Hedderscheid up there still leading the pack, obviously weaving around trying to keep those tyres nice and warm, get everything prepared to restart this race and get back up to racing speed again.
He's got a big lead over Brody in behind him. Brody's just got to be careful here that he doesn't get jumped at the start, as the safety car will pull in and move away from the pack shortly.
Yeah, actually, it'll do it down. Where are we? So when those last 2 left-handers, the safety car will drop away from the chicane up here, and then the first left-hander is where the control line is, and they can go from there.
I think Tyson McAvoy might have been.
I believe he's got gun on the head. So sorry to talk over there.
Ah, you're right, Dave.
So I'm not sure if he's going to be under scrutiny from the officials there. Safety car lights out, and it's going to accelerate away from the field here, and Hedderscheid will control the pace now.
Just quickly before we start, Tyson McAvoy, I believe, did receive a penalty from race control.
Ooh, that's tough. That was side-to-side contact. So yeah.
Oh, I actually heard something different there. I heard no further action.
The wrong thing. Oh, no further action. Sorry.
Yeah, I think that's the way. That's the way.
I'll put my hearing aids back in.
All right, so Hedderscheid now controls the field. He's got Brody Scott right there behind him, who can see first place sitting there right there in front of him. When's Hedderscheid going to dump the throttle? It's got to be soon. There he goes, and everyone's gone with him. He hasn't really got much of a jump over everyone else. He'd probably protect himself into the first turn, but he would have wanted certainly to get away with more of an advantage than that. But it's Hedderscheid, Scott, Ruwalt, Chadwick, and Coldwell in the top 5 as they run down towards the first chicane. Cold tyres, or as warm as they've been able to keep them under the caution. None of these guys have pitted yet, and they're all just going to go at it again.
Yeah, it's a big effect down that straight too if you get in a draft, so it's there to be used. But lucky for Hedderscheid, they just had enough gap there to keep the guys behind him.
Nice and clean back in the pack, boys. Had a look through the midfield and towards the back. All clean, no incidents, all nose to tail, everyone settling into the groove.
Certainly, as they come pouring out of that hairpin and up the hill again. And we can see Hedderscheid with Scott, just a little bit of a gap to Scott, who's got Ruwalt all over his rear bumper. And then, of course, Chadwick as well, our pole sitter, looking to make his way forward. He's just sat in there behind Ruwalt at the moment. He's got a bit of a gap over Coldwell behind. And I think he's going to be having just knocking on the door of trying to get a move done on Ruwalt to take third back. But of course, we know how fast Ruwalt's been throughout this series, so I doubt that that's going to be a easy task. Oh, we got one off. I think it was Benjamin Siren's got off at the chicane, he just went straight on at his siren.
Yeah,
Benjamin Siren's gone straight on at the chicane. I'm just having to try and have a quick look what happened. And it looks as though he's just got his braking all right. He was actually going for a move there on the car in front, and has pretty much realised that he's braked too late, locked the wheels, and spun off. So good job, I suppose, to avoid the car that was next to him.
What a wild moment, mate. He's gone from out behind him. Just watching the replay there. Going out from behind him, managed to go around him and still get to the left-hand side. Jeez, that was wild.
The top three still very close together, head aside with a little. Oh, Brody Scott hasn't got out of that chicane particularly well, and he's going to come under threat from Ruwalt now. If Ruwalt can get on the throttle just a smidgen earlier than him, but no, it looks as though he's going to be able to hold him off at least for the time being.
Just watching our guys that made the risky pit stop, about 15 to 17 seconds off the lead already, and forming onto the back of a long train. So I'll keep an eye on them throughout the race, because they're still a factor in this. Those three guys could potentially win this race, but about 15 to 17 seconds off the pace early on.
It's exactly what we were talking about, isn't it? You know, how the field spreads and how much time they've actually lost in that. But I'm not sure exactly what the total pit lane time is here, but I can almost guarantee it's more than that. So if it continues at that rate, they're in trouble. If it sort of stabilises from here, they could, and they can get their fuel to last to the end, they could be in the box seat.
Yeah, lovely start by Heddershot, pulling out a half a second lead over Scott, Ruwalt and Chadwick. This is a pack here. These four are the ones looking most likely for the win outside those road guys who pitted earlier to the pit, settling a group pretty loose around that right-hander there. With Scott holds it together nicely, breaks in and dancing that Commodore around nicely, and they're all settling into a rhythm. Ruwalt obviously one to watch out for after a pretty memorable race last weekend, starting to pose up onto the back of Scott in this race.
We just got on screen there. Sorry, with John Sorensen under pressure from Alex Courts, just locked the brake and just ran wide to that last section. But he's recovered now and lost a few spots, but he can continue on.
I was just going to make a remark on how far the top six have actually disappeared. They've got Jamie Davis is in sixth position. He's only 2 points. Oh,
jeez, you haven't looked too. Sorry to cut off you. Jamie Davis, all crossed up underneath in there.
2.7 seconds off the lead he was at the last count, and back to Alexander Newton in seventh place at 7 seconds. It's a huge gap.
Yeah, that's interesting. That it's almost like there was an issue there at some point.
Well, that's around about where Benjamin Siren was when he went off. So it could have been that that Newton had to check up around about there, but it's still quite more gap than I'd think.
Yeah.
At that point. So
lap 10, boys. 22 lap race. One more lap to go until we're at the halfway mark. We're starting to get towards hit strategy area. Obviously, with the safety car laps, though, guys are going to have a lot more fuel in than what they would have in a green flag scenario. But something to look out for now, possible undercuts and things we saw last week, how important that was. So.
Well, these guys have got to stay out now. They've got to stay out and run their tanks as far as they possibly can. Yeah. Because if they come in and pit now...
Oh, head of drive. All of them.
Ruwalt on the inside.
Ruwalt's, they've sort of... They've both followed each other there. Well, he's going that fast, I can go that fast. And they're both sort of out at the moment. So Ruwalt's looking to take advantage of this on Brody Scott right now.
Yeah, you're right. He just followed his exact braking marker and did the exact thing, the mirror. We talked about this at the beginning of the race. A tricky place to overtake. He thought about it. He was good under the brakes last week.
Locked up there.
Yeah, Scott, just the rear end looks a little bit more unstable than what Ruwalt's dealing with at the moment.
Has another look. No, he's just going to tuck back in. I think he's just trying to annoy Brody Scott there more than anything else. But certainly we were saying just before that these guys are going to need to stay out as long as they possibly can and try to extend the advantage over the early pit stop runners. Because if they pit now, they're going to come out behind them. And then they're just going to have to pray for those guys to run out of fuel. So these guys would most be... The safe strategy for them is to keep ploughing on as fast as they possibly can for as long as they possibly can.
That's exactly right. While you got the pace, you might as well use it. So.
Oh, got a huge pack of cars with Lassith Leonage at the moment. They're a really angry pack of cars here. about 6 cars going 3 wide down the back straight. A few of them running wide around the sweeping corner. I thought it was about to be a huge accident. On the back of this group, he's caught Duggan and Gaffer, our rogue warriors out there. They're just formed on the back of this enormous pack of cars that was forming. They did well not to connect their guys. It was literally two slots of 3 cars side by side down the straight. They all seemed to manage it, but this is brewing.
Yeah, this is not what Court and Duggan want to see either.
No.
You know, they didn't want to be catching a big, horrible cluster of a pack. They want it to be sort of banging in lap times and worrying about the time gap to the leaders, but instead they've caught onto the back of this big, ugly train. And they need to be smart about it too, because if they try and go barreling through, chances are they're going to come to grief. So we've got a few cars heading in as well.
Yeah, Rubolt's dived into the pits on this lap, so he's dived out of that front pack. We'll see where he comes out relative to the other guys, but you can see Alex has gone flying by there. So if he's got fuel, mate, he's in the box seat at the moment.
Absolutely, that's a huge gap.
As long as he can keep it clean, because he's got to work his way through these cars still.
What's working out well for Rubolt here is Heddershide and Scott were actually battling there side by side. Scott threw it up the inside. Heddershide seemed to just hold it on the outside. But that would have slowed them down a fair bit. You don't want to be battling when one of your rivals is trying to undercut you. So Rubolt will be one to watch here when this all filters out.
Yeah, I'd love to be able to see the fuel numbers right now, just so I know what's going on. We're just sort of guessing at the moment. But look, I tell you what, if the fuel numbers are correct and Court's done a genius call here and can somehow get to the finish from here, this is his race to lose.
Certainly, I was wondering how badly he was clutching it behind the safety car to see if he could save every last drop. Didn't actually think to go back and check on his car on board to see what was going on. Heddershide's locked wheel, and that's going to give the lead up to Scott. That one is going to give the lead to Scott. He's
Chadwick's
away with that.
Yeah. Got to fend off Chadwick now. Chadwick had a little look up the inside. They're both coming to the pit now. And
Chadwick really put late on the brakes there.
And the 04 of Darren Caldwell also follows him in.
The Heddershide's he's not enjoying that downhill braking zone at all, really locking up those rears consistently.
Yeah, very tough corner, that one. Because you're turning right and you're also trying to brake to go left. So usually the right hand front actually lifts the ground and locks up.
And there goes Court and Duggan. Court having a run and curve.
Side by side down into turn 1, and he's going to get the job done.
Tell you one thing, if Duggan is close on fuel, then Court's going to run out and he's going to be sitting there. Probably Duggan knows better than anybody else right now exactly what the fuel state of this race is, because he will know that Court is a couple of laps worse off than him on fuel. Of course, that was safety car affected as well, so it won't be so much. But if Duggan is borderline, then Court cannot make it. So I think we might be able to read in a little bit on Duggan's behaviour, whether he's really trying to...
Sorry, Ruwalt and Heddershide have touched. They came out of the pit side by side. Ruwalt's thrown it up the inside. They've banged wheels, both off on the gravel, and Heddershide keeps the position. So we'll see what race control has to say about that. It looked like it was fairly, straightforward, just side by side, both on the right up next to each other. But crazy coming out of the pits there.
Yeah, interesting. We're about to watch a replay now, actually. Sorry, Edward. You can see Ruwalt coming down the straight here on screen. And there's Heddershide up ahead of him. So very committed, Ruwalt, as we go slow motion.
Can't say he wasn't far enough up.
He's going to have a big dive here. And remembering that Heddershide's on cold tyres, tell you what, he's in there.
Yeah, he got a long way up.
Very interesting. Heddershide looks like, on that angle that we're watching there, it looks like he's turned in on Ruwalt. Whether Ruwalt was going to be able to pull it up or not is another story, but he may have clipped the curve a bit too hard as well, which may have forced him into Heddershide. So we'll leave that one to race control to look over, and we'll know a result sooner or later.
All right, Brodie Scott is in. So Brodie Scott is coming into the pits, and we're going to be able to just have a quick look to see. Now, this one's going to be crucial because he hasn't been affected by anything whatsoever. So we're going to get a true indication here of exactly where Court and the like are going to wind up, and they've actually already gone through. So Court is well through on Brodie Scott. So there's only a couple of cars remaining in front of Court and Duggan. Duggan, of course, has just actually made that move on Chris Kerr as well. Of course, they're out of sequence with those guys. But yeah, tell you what, if these two can make it to the end, they've played a blinder, haven't they?
Yeah, so I'm just trying to work out what the gap is, because he also has a time gap to play with. So if Court needs to fuel save, he's got time up his sleeve to be able to do that as well. So if it means sort of shifting early or clutching it, going down the straight, rolling into the braking marker into turn one, that sort of stuff, he's got that time up his sleeve to do that.
Well, I'm just actually watching the behaviour of the car right now, and it really doesn't look as though he's leaving much on the table. So he's either absolutely fine for fuel, or he's decided he can't make it, and he's trying to extend the gap absolutely as much as possible. It's one of those two situations, because that does not look like a Commodore that's fuel saving to me. Mark Duggan, on the other hand, is falling away quite a lot from Court. Now, I'm not sure if that's a genuine pace thing. Duggan's been quite quick so far in this series, especially over the last couple of races. And for him to fall away that far from Court, there may be some fuel saving going on in that Mustang.
Yeah, certainly is. Our leader at that time, Jamie Davis, has come in for his stop now also. He's pretty crossed up. He actually attacked the pit entry, so don't want to lose too much time. There's always time to be gained and also time to be lost, I should say.
And just an update for someone who was battling with Heddershide, Ruwalt and the likes earlier. Chadwick, when he had his pit stop, don't know what happened there, but he was in the pit lane for about 10 to 15 seconds longer than everyone else. So just not having the race to remember is Simon, unfortunately. But up at the lead here, Court the lead over Heddershide, 27 seconds. So if Court does have to pit, he's definitely not going to win. Definitely going to be interesting to see what happens here. But yeah, that's our Rogue 3, Court, Duggan, Gaffer in 3rd, 4th and 5th, respectively.
Yeah, they've certainly looking good for them at the moment. And just on Chadwick, there's almost a little bit of curse on the pole position drivers over the last couple of rounds, isn't there? Of course, we saw Alex Court get that terrible first lap, terrible getaway from pole position last time out. And Chadwick's had a bit of a nightmare so far today, running down in 10th from pole position, which is not what he would have had in mind after he saw the number 1 flash up next to his name at the end of his qualifying lap.
Yeah, certainly. It could be just a simple case of not having his fuel number set prior to going in, because they do reset to 112 litres, I believe. So you do have to set that down to where you want it. Otherwise, it'll just fill the tank right up.
Okay, Court's in, so Court could not make it. He is in. That answers that question.
That's the first. Oh, geez, he's in there hot too.
If he is in already, does that mean that Duggan can make it, or is
Gaffer's
he just
come with him?
Is Court accepting defeat and pitting early?
Gaffer's in as well,
which doesn't make any sense at all. But no, Duggan's still on the track. Duggan's on the track.
Gaffer, the other one that we were mentioning, was Rogue, is also in. So I doubt that Duggan is going to make the end of this race. So
had a swing.
Yeah, the roll of the dice you spoke about, Dave. The roll of the dice, and it didn't quite work.
No, that's right.
Just looking to see where Court comes out. He's coming out right now, and I'm just looking for Heddershide. If he's gone through, he must have gone through.
Yeah, they certainly have. Yeah. Now, interesting enough, Chris Barnes is still out there, so there is fuel to play with here. There's lap 16 of 22, so he hasn't run out yet, but he's going to be the next.
There were 16 laps to go, weren't they? There were 16 laps to go when Duggan pitted. So now Chris Barnes is still on the track after 16 laps, and yes, I know that there was safety car involved in that and so on, but if he's still on the track after 16 laps, then that means that's how far fuel can go. So can Duggan get to the end?
Yeah, thanks for making it more clear for us, Edward. That was the point I was trying to get across here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No. please go on.
Just getting word that Chris Barnes is actually pitted as well. So he was one perhaps that would join that rogue pack that we didn't quite pick up on there.
Okay, possibly.
So he might be in the Mark Duggan pack here, but Duggan's in. So in comes Duggan. So Barnes, I think, is in a bit of strife.
genuinely sad that hasn't worked out. I thought that would have been an absolute cracker if they managed to pull something out of the hat there, but unfortunately it wasn't even close to coming true.
So it looks like our battle on track, or the battle for the lead, is still between Hederscheit, Scott, and Ruwalt. Scott's actually gotten in front of Ruwalt somewhere along the line there, so we missed that, but that's interesting because he came out of the pits behind Ruwalt, so he might have a bit of late race pace here, Brody Scott. So one to watch out for. But obviously Barnes is still out there, but it's very doubtful that he'll be able to make the end of the race from what we've seen from the other drivers that also made that call under the safety car. So we don't see him putting around and doesn't realise that he's not going to make it at some stage. He's...
Once again, Scott looks like he's got a bit of pace here over Hederscheit. He was similar to the last week it was Hederscheit. Who won last week? Was it Ruwalt or was it Hederscheit?
Ruwalt.
I think it was Ruwalt there. So the roles are reversed here, but Scott's putting the pressure on Hederscheit here. But he did manage to get a late pass for the lead, and unfortunately lost it in the latter stages. But he's all over each other here.
Hederscheit really loose coming out of the corner up into the chicane here. So Scott and Ruwalt closing in on the back of Hederscheit's role reversals. As you said from last week, it was Hederscheit who was sitting in third of these two cars until he got caught up with the back marker. So he's the one leading the pack this week, and Scott seems to have really good pace.
Barnes is in too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so that's all our cards have been played. Unfortunately, they haven't come up trumps.
They weren't even close, but I thought they might have been a bit closer. But as you said, you got to roll the dice. Not sure about Court. I mean, he had this pace to be with these guys, as you said, in third place.
Yeah.
Maybe if I was at the back of a pack, I might have thrown the dice like that. But anyway, he'll learn and move on.
Big risk there, but gee, tell you what, Hederscheit was all crossed up on the brakes there, but Brody Scott was the one who got a bad run. But now he's got a great run out of that turn. He's going to have a look up the inside here.
It's on for the lead.
He's done it.
He's going to get it done. It's a nice clean move there. Hederscheit didn't sort of fight it. It was a bit strange. Oh, Ruwalt's looking in there. Hederscheit's crossed up. And they're all got different lines.
A little bit wider around the outside, which just manages to pick up that throttle nice and early as well, and take a little bit of extra momentum onto the next straight, and just pull out a little bit of a gap over Hederscheit there. So he's done well.
And now Scott's got the lead as he did last week late in the race. We'll see if he can hold on this week, and I no doubt that'll be going through his mind at the moment, and he'll be trying to make a little mistake as possible and eyes forward basically.
Who do you think he would? Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
I was just going to say, who do you think that Scott would rather have in his mirrors after last week? Do you reckon he wants Hederscheit to stay second? Or do you think he wants to see that yellow-green nose of Ruwalt poke through and start pushing up behind him?
I'm not sure. I think he'd like to see them both side by side and losing time, as a matter of fact. But right now, I think Hederscheit is his best option.
He's lacking a bit of pace here, boys, at the end there. Hederscheit, Scott moving away. Ruwalt be looking at that, thinking he might need to make a move. Jeez, he's so loose on the exit of the corners.
Just dropped her off in the grass.
Fishtailing down the straights of Imola. But a gap starting to appear now between first, second and third in this leading pack. 3 laps remaining.
Yeah, lap 19 of 22 here tonight. But we've seen it last week. We saw a gap open up, and then right at the death, Ruwalt was able to close that down. So we'll see if Hederscheit can do anything here.
And it looks as though just further back in the pack, Darren Caldwell has just rolled out of the throttle, let Alex Court, his teammate, of course, go through as Court tries to recover as much as he can. He's had really good pace all race. But up behind them, there's a massive pack formed up behind Riley Curtis. It looks like the cork in the bottle at the moment. He's got, who's he got in there behind him? He's got Aaron Gilbert in there, Muddy Hanson, Alex Newton, Brian Cooper, Chris Kerr, Mark Duggan, all in a big line up behind him. There's a couple more there, Gaffer and Luke Holland as well. So big, angry pack all in there behind Riley Curtis.
Yeah, he's moved up 10 spots. So he started 19th, sitting currently 9th. But our biggest mover on the field tonight is Brian Cooper. who was moved up 16 positions and sitting 13th at the moment. So he's in this pack.
Yeah, great drive by Cooper there to gain that many spots. Curtis really loose in the exit here, which opens the door up for Gilbert. Gilbert around the outside, heading to the chicane.
He's going to have to single file through here. There's no way you get it through there side by side. And he's going to get back here. He's got a good little run out of there.
Gilbert really wide.
And he's up on the outside of Gilbert. He's going to have the inside run down here. It's going to be hard to do around the outside there. There's no touch, I think. Light touch, and you've got to try and get it pulled up here now. Very hard to do downhill. And Gilbert gets that pass for him.
Yeah, you don't like to see cars touch around that fast right hand. I've seen some massive accidents there over the years as Curtis gets great drive at the last corner. Doesn't even need the draft, just pulls to the inside. Gilbert way around on the outside of the circuit here. No one wants the draft.
Who breaks first?
Here we go, battle of the late breakers.
And
Curtis gets
he's going to get on the outside.
Nice work. They never say die, as they say. And he's after losing that spot with a little bit of a mistake, he's managed to recover that one and get back there in front of Gilbert. So nicely done. But what that battle has done, of course, is just intensify the low torches coming from those angry drivers behind them as well. So I imagine to see a little bit more action in this zone before the end of this one, that's for sure.
Yeah, we're just looking at the leaders here. So Brodie Scott's got a nice little gap now. It's what, nearly 2 seconds just now actually he's pulled out, and then another 3.5 seconds back to Ruwalt. So they're starting to spread out in the front here. So I think without too many mistakes, this might be the way they're going to finish. But they have provided us with some entertainment tonight, which is good. We saw some door-to-door contact, so that's always nice to see, as long as we can carry on.
That's right. A little bit further back, Tyson McAvoy, who we saw involved in an earlier incident in the race, fought his way back up to 5th. Now he has Alex Court behind him, all over the back of his Commodore. Great recovery drive from McAvoy, but obviously Court on fresh tyres could prove a pretty strong adversary here in the closing stages of this one. Court easily dispatched his teammate, and Barnes has also gone past McAvoy there. So Barnes, oh my God,
come to the pit. Had set a shot in the pit. What has gone on here?
He hasn't made it on fuel, and
yeah, maybe he didn't get enough fuel and he stopped. Possibly, I'm not sure what's going on there, but that's a big story.
Oh wow, oh wow. Well, that's just handed Ruwalt second place very easily. I think Ruwalt would be fuel saving. His pace has just plummeted. And it's funny, I mentioned earlier that Chadwick was in the pits way longer than Hederscheid and Ruwalt. I've got a feeling they might have miscalculated the fuel or something here. And Ruwalt, I believe, might be fuel saving here. I think Chadwick might be in the box seat for a second place.
We can get it on board with Ruwalt. We might be able to pick it up in the engine note. But Chadwick's all over him sideways off out of that turn. And he's going to go side by side up into the...
Yeah, look at the way Ruwalt backed out of that. He's fuel saving. He has to be.
I don't believe it. They've stuffed up their fuel numbers, the boys.
Well, where does that leave Brodie Scott? What kind of shape is he in?
Yeah, well, I'm just trying to... I can't cast my mind back where he came out in regards to those guys, because remember that Ruwalt and Hederscheid touched and went off the track, so they'd lost time. So whether that was Scott has put extra fuel in and made that time because of that incident, we're not sure.
That's my theory with Scott, and I'll just have a listen, just real quick. This is the last lap of the race.
Yeah, well, he's going for it. It's win or die now.
Yeah, he doesn't look like somebody who's concerned about fuel, does he?
No, and Chadwick's, he's managed to fall his way into a third position at the moment as Tyson's tank slapping down the straight here, trying to get a move on Chris Barnes. Around the outside. And I'm not sure if he got that done.
He has got that done, yeah. McAvoy's got that done around the outside of Barnes.
A few guys, yeah. Well, he just went into pit as well. I was just looking at that. So a few guys a bit out on their fuel numbers here by the looks of it.
Yeah.
Strange one. Very strange.
And is there anything more annoying for a driver than that? To drive a storming race and then have to pit for fuel because you didn't get the numbers quite right
Yeah.
Very frustrating for those guys, Heddershide in particular, running at the front all day and having to give it away by not having enough fuel in the car. So unfortunate, but it looks as though Brodie Scott has got no such worries. He's certainly does not appear to be saving or anything like that, and appears to be on the final lap of the race now. Yeah, final lap of the race, and he has got 6.5 seconds over Chadwick in second place, who has pulled a rabbit out of the hat, hasn't he? We were talking about how badly it was going for him, but now he's in P2.
And Riwald's dropping down the tree here.
Riwald's
so
out of field.
Now, yeah, I was going to say, I think he's going to be out of field. McAvoy's now in the third, and Riwald's out. He's coasting. You can see it on the screen here now.
Here comes Brodie Scott across the line, wins. Eddie Miller, great victory.
Great win from Brodie. Well done in his pit game there. He was all over it, and Chadwick.
Does Scott have to get around on this cool down lap, boys?
Yeah, he certainly does.
I'm going to keep an eye on that because he must be on an oily rag.
Chadwick, well-deserved second place, and Tyson, pretty excited, as you can see, crossing the line there, having a bit of a wiggle, and brings home P3. Well done.
Well, how many of these guys are going to have enough fuel to complete their mandatory cool-down lap? You kind of alluded to it just then, and depending on how close these guys are on fuel, they might not get around.
It's a long lap. There's going to be a lot of clutching, I guarantee it.
Looks like McAvoy's
doing some drifting. So.
No? Yeah, I think Scott's fine. He seems to be fine.
He's happy with himself, and he's done well. He's outsmarted the field, basically, and done it easy in the end, really.
I'll tell you who is going to be thrilled with that is Chris Barnes. You know, he's qualified 12th, wound up on strategy, pretty well getting up there into fourth place finish. Fantastic work from him. I mean, if you look at the lap times that Brodie Scott was putting down, you know, he was in the sort of mid 44s the entire time, whereas Chris Barnes, he was sort of sitting around about that same sort of pace, barring a couple of aberrations. So he certainly had the pace in that car. Qualified 12th, obviously looked to be a little bit out of position for him, but he's called strategy absolutely perfectly and has come away with a P4. So he's going to be stoked with that.
Yeah, certainly. I was just about to mention Alex, because remember just before, with about 2 laps to go, I know that him and Tyson were battling. They were very close there, and Chris Barnes actually got Alex now. So Alex finished 5th after all that. So I don't know if anything happened there, but I know Alex was on a charge, ended up 5th. So that's not a bad recovery from the early stop. But yeah, there's a few other people out there doing the same sort of thing.
Yeah, most people know, of course, that you can roll home from Skyline at Bathurst. I'm wondering where you can roll home from. At Imola, of course, it does go up and down a hillside, very much like Mount Panorama. So I'm not sure what kind of momentum you needed to roll home from what point on the track, but it looks as though most of everyone have got home to pit lane, or at least are going to be. And I think that potentially James Riwald, who at the end of this comes away with a 29th place finish, most everyone's going to get back, I think.
So I think that's the first for Brodie Scott in this series. He's always been up there and thereabouts, but I think that's his first win in the series. So he's going to be.
I think you might be right.
He's going to be very excited, and so too should Simon Chadwick and Tyson to be on the podium.
I think we're going to have a pretty lively podium tonight, boys. Just watching them on their in laps, the three of them, all sorts of drifting and lights flashing, and the 3 best results as well for the 3 of them in the championship. So. This could be a lively one. A bit like Brundle on the podium when he gets an excited group. Might get a bit of a spray ad when you do the interviews.
Oh, well, that's why I only do one of them. I don't like to even virtually.
Do a virtual shoey.
All right, so as we wait for the drivers to make themselves available in the green room, we're just going to run through the full results for you as well. Because so Brodie Scott, of course, in the 222, taking out that one maiden victory of the series. Fantastic work from him. Then we got Simon Chadwick, Tyson McAvoy coming home in 2nd and 3rd position, completing the podium. Then Chris Barnes, as mentioned, Alex Court recovers to 5th, Darren Caldwell 6th. Marty Hansen, he comes home in 7th place, Aaron Gilbert in 8th, Alexander Newton 9th, Tony Gaffer in 10th. Then we got Luke Holland, and John Sorensen makes his way up to 12th position for 25th on the grid. Brian Cooper, as you mentioned earlier on, 29th up to 13th. Fantastic run from him. Lasseth Leonage, 14th. and started 14th as well. So pretty much broken even on that one. Then we got Crowley, Williams, Scott McCune, Jamie Davis ending up coming home in 18th position. Dean Power, Daniel Hedderscheid, second on the grid, 20th place finish. He will not be happy. Ben Morris, Mark Duggan ended up having to take that late pit stop and comes home 22nd place. Then Chris Kerr, Hayden Harrison, Benjamin Siren, Jacob Brewer, Jonathan Ben, Riley Curtis, and James Rewalt, the first of our cars, one lap down, finishing 29th, and then Lee Roberts and Mark Dial rounding out the field of 31 drivers. So I'm just actually waiting, hoping to see if our winner, Brodie Scott, is going to pop into the green room. It doesn't look as though he has made himself available yet. So we might just have a quick chat to our second place getter, Simon Chadwick, and we'll have a chat to him, see how the race played out from his point of view. Simon Chadwick, Edward Foster in the commentary box. Just obviously coming home in second place tonight after qualifying on pole. It looked as though it had all gone so badly wrong for you at one stage, but comes back with second place. Talk us through that.
Oh,
He's just dropped out there, but
yeah, we just had a little quick issue there, so we might just wait for some go ahead from our director to see if we can get Simon back in to finish that interview. Okay, so we might just get Brodie Scott in. I'll let you have a chat with him, Dave, and we'll try and get Simon back for you a little bit later on.
Is he in? We've got him up here. Brodie, P1, mate. How's it feel?
Awesome. It's pretty cool to get that on my back as well, so I'm pretty wrapped.
Yeah, it's sort of come to you quite easily in the end. Worked hard to get there, but yeah, some of the boys had a bit of trouble with their fuel numbers by the looks of it. So you were able to cruise home and you had no such issues with fuel by the looks of it.
I put a few extra litres in, and when I come out of the pits, I saw the two boys in front of me again, and I was like, wow, maybe I misjudged this, but I didn't. So I'm wrapped for the boys at PSR. We've done a great job, so I'm pretty stoked.
Yeah, it's a hell of a job there, mate. And I believe that's your first win in the series too, mate. So congratulations with that. But yeah, I was just trying to work out what happened in the pit stops there, because I know that Ruwalt and Hedderscheid actually made contact on their outlap, well on Hedderscheid's outlap, I believe it was. So I think they lost a bit of time there. So I think that's maybe why you popped out just behind them. So time that you did take extra in a pit, possibly.
I'm quite lucky I did, because I think both of those boys run out or were pretty close to running out, so I was quite lucky.
Yeah, they certainly did. Hedderscheid did make it back to the pit, and he took more fuel. And unfortunately for Ruwalt, he didn't. He ran out on the last lap, I believe. So, like I said, you played the game, and at the end of the day, you got all your numbers correct, and it turns into a victory, mate. Well done.
I'm pretty stoked, and obviously it's pretty special being a Kiwi here and taking the win for a Kiwi. So
yeah, certainly. And just to top it off, I'm just currently looking at the championship standings, and your name is at the top with 1,338 points, with James Rewalt and Jamie Davis second and third at the moment. So that win puts you at the top of the sort, mate.
Mate, that's awesome. Especially PSR 1 and 3. That's cool.
Yeah, so it's basically a perfect night for you tonight. But before we let you go, any shout-outs, any sponsors, mate, before we let you go?
Definitely the boys from PSR, Pacific Sprint Racing. Thank you, guys. We're all working well together, so it's a privilege. And Dripping Paint Graphics, thanks, mate. Again, car looks awesome, and I'm sure we're going to get some good shots from this race.
Perfect. And congratulations again, mate. There you have it. Your winner tonight at round 9 at Imola, Brodie Scott.
Thanks, boys.
All right, so Brodie Scott there, very, very happy winner. We might just bring in our third place getter, Tyson McAvoy, and we might just try to recover the rest of the interview with Simon Chadwick in a moment. But Matt, take it away. Tyson McAvoy, third place.
Tyson McAvoy, third place, mate. Well done.
Thanks, guys. what a race.
Yeah, it was pretty eventful, mate. We saw you were involved in a shunt fairly early on in the race, mate. Talk us through what happened there.
We were just having a really tough battle, me and James, and then I noticed he was on my left, so I was like, I'm going to try and slow through the right-hander there, the double right-hander. Gave him a lot of room. He ran wide. I think he got wheel spin, come back on, hit my back wheel, and I spun. And then, yeah, safety car got called, luckily. And all of a sudden, I'm in a tight battle with these middle fast guys, and I decided to go for the undercut, which surprisingly worked really well. And yeah, I look up and I'm having a battle for third place.
Yeah, an amazing recovery. You made mention of it during the safety car. I think you were down in 15th.
Mm.
To come from 15th up to third after that early incident is an amazing drive. You had great pace. With the undercut, we noticed there was quite a few drivers tonight, and you made a few gains at the end. We're low on fuel. What were your fuel numbers like? It just looked like there were quite a number of drivers that misjudged fuel this evening.
Yeah, I think because when they're under safety guard, they're forgetting that they're not using as much fuel. So when
Yep.
they pit, because I nearly did the same thing, and I thought, no, I'm going to take 3 extra laps, and I only finished with 1 extra lap. So
Right.
I was very close on fuel.
Yeah, I could see you were pretty good on fuel with your drifting on your in lap, mate. So well done. No, mate, an impressive, a super impressive drive, mate. Congratulations. And before we let you go, are there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to tonight?
Oh, just just a big shout out to Jamie McKnight for just giving me a little bit of a coaching session around Imola and helping me where to brake, looking for markers especially, and big thanks to One Performance Racing, my team, for obviously giving me the sexy car and the confidence to come race.
Well done, mate. You're improving each week, and we're looking
yeah.
forward to some more chats with you in the podium in races to come. Have well done, and have a great night.
Thanks, boys.
Good job, Tyson.
Okay, so Tyson McAvoy, very happy third place getter, as may well be the case. And what we'll do now is we'll grab up Simon Chadwick again, finish off his interview there. Simon, do you have us?
Yeah,
I'll just
yeah.
wait for some
Yes.
confirmation from the director that that's
Oh.
coming through the coming through. Okay, it doesn't look like we've actually got any volume from you, Simon, unfortunately. So
It's very
Can you guys hear me?
okay, there we
Hey.
go. Excellent. We're
Sorry
back
about
on.
that.
So, one of the things that we were just talking to Simon about before, unfortunately, technical gremlins intervened, was his up and down race, and his good start before just making a slight little error there, running wide, copying a couple of penalties, and yeah, Simon, take it from there.
Yeah, that's it, mate. Went wide, got 1 second penalty. Had to kind of scoot back in, I think, to about 4th or 5th, and then further up, I think it's turn 9. I got another 8/10 of a penalty for skipping the next one. So then from there, I had something about 1.6 seconds of penalty, so I had to get back, and I ended up coming 12th, I think. And then the safety car helped a bit. And then, yeah, the pits went in there and I stuffed up the fuel. I actually added an extra 14 litres, so put me back to 6th. But unfortunately, some of the guys underfueled, and that was that.
Yeah, we did wonder a little bit about your longer pit stop time, and it turned out to be a happy accident, I suppose, if it was a mistake, because lots of prominent drivers having fuel calculation issues tonight, and coming back up there to second place. I mean, what were your thoughts as you were seeing that position? Obviously, your position indicator getting better and better and better, and sort of showing that you were climbing back up the field and everything from around 10th at one stage all the way back up to P2.
Look, I did a fair bit of practice this week, so I was just saying to myself, just think of it as another practice, just keep your bum down and get consistent times in, and in the end, it turned out all right.
All right, absolutely fantastic. So second place tonight, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, definitely. FS Simulators, Project X, Penrite Oil, all those guys help out a fair bit, and thank you to my teammate Ben Siren.
All right, absolutely fantastic. We did see Siren have his difficulties tonight, but certainly a good result for the team that you were able to bring home there in P2. So well done for that. So that's Simon Chadwick, everyone, your second place getter, and we're just about at the end of the broadcast now. Any final thoughts, guys?
Basically from me, just a nice bit of variety up the front there for, in the finishing order. We had the top 3, 4 guys still battling away, but yeah, a new winner. It's always good.
Yeah, an odd night strategy-wise with the safety car throwing a spanner in a lot of plans for the drivers, different strategies, but ultimately those that recognised the issue with the safety car there in field came out on top and were able to think their way through the race.
All right, it was another interesting one. It just keeps throwing up these little curveballs this series, doesn't it? And
Yeah.
some races we're seeing side by side finishes, and other races we're seeing safety cars and, as you mentioned, strategies getting all thrown out the window and so on. And that's what's provided us with all the entertainment so far, certainly. So that's it for us from Imola. We basically wrap it up there. So basically from myself, Dave, Edward Foster, Dave Douglas, and Matt Andrews, and our director JP Courier. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next week.